folks, welcome back to the channel. We are now on part 2, I believe, of this assembly series for the Solo Music Gear STK1 Strat-style kit guitar. Last time we installed the bridge and the spring claw, and this time we're going to be installing the machine heads. The machine heads that come with this kit are fairly standard, run-of-the-mill machine heads. They line up this way and they're held in two ways. And this is pretty typical actually. So the first way is, as they go in, there's a washer that sits on top of the hole, like so, and a nut that goes over the tuning peg itself that bolts in. Now, you don't necessarily need to go this way. You can use a wrench, you can use, whatever works for you. I happen to have a little socket driver here, and it's just, it's very straightforward. It's just a socket on a driver. This is, says 10 on it, so I'm thinking 10 mils. And that just happens to fit. Just go through your socket set and find one that fits. These aren't going to go on super tight. And then the second way is on the back of the guitar. They've already pre-drilled for these screws that will hold them in place, and that's how we get the alignment for all 6 machine heads. So all we're going to do is start by installing them, right? Oops. I'm just going to start with a washer and then this nut. Okay, we're just going to put these on finger tight until we get them lined up in the back. Okay, and I'm going to do all 6 of them just held in place. Okay, like I said, we're not going to do them tight, we're just going to snug them a little bit. Okay, here's number 2. And this is it. This is honestly like the easiest part of putting one of these together. Now in this kit, it also comes with string trees, which look like this. You can see that, right? And they have little posts, and those will line up across here. I'm not going to put them on until I have the strings in place because I want to make sure I have them lined up in the right places. Okay, so again, not super tight. We should still be able to turn that. Okay. And don't forget, when you're finished your guitar, make sure you peel these stickers off the back. I'm just leaving them on now so they don't get too scratched up. But this little white spot here on the solo guitars is just a sticker, and it'll just peel right off when you get to that point. Now, also remember, all of this has to happen typically after you do the finishing work, but right now we just want to see, remember the whole point of this series is to find out if we can get a playable guitar out of the box just in these few steps, right? So, let's tighten down a little bit, okay? While we're up here on the neck, we'll see there is a hole here for the truss rod. They do include there's a lot of traffic up there today. They do include an Allen wrench for the truss rod as well, and the Allen keys that you need for adjusting the action later on. Now, some people don't like these pegs. These are not, they're not high-end tuners, right? So they've got a lot of play here. That tends to disappear once they're under tension. That play disappears. So don't feel that it's it's cheap. Are they inexpensive? Yes. They're not top of the line $300 Schallers or Goto tuners. They do the job. They absolutely will do the job. And when you're working with a starter guitar, this is a good place to start. Okay. And finally, here's my washer. Okay, so like I said, not the most complicated installation job. And you'll see, they're kind of at an angle right now because we haven't lined up the holes in the back. That's something that will happen shortly. Now these screws are much smaller, of course, than the ones that we put the bridge in with, so it's very handy to have an adjustable screwdriver like this where you can change the bits. I'm doing this on a flat table because I don't have all that fancy luthier equipment that my guitar tech guy has. Feel free, of course, to find a professional guitar repair or technician in your area. Give them some work, especially when we've done all of this. You want to go to that person and ask them to do a setup. Okay, that's where they make sure the strings and the bridge are properly radiused to match the neck, that the action is correct, that your fretwork is correct and functional, all that kind of fun stuff. They'll have all the proper tools for doing that kind of work. I don't have all the proper tools for doing that kind of work. I could get them. They're not expensive. You can get them on Amazon for relatively cheap. You can also get a lot of them from some of the better quality ones from Solo Music Gear as well. Solo does sell those. But what we're looking for right now is just, like I said, getting a guitar that's playable. So check the alignment here. It's pretty good, right? I mean, you'll see some minor variations. That's okay. It's not, this isn't Fender custom shop handmade stuff, right? You're not paying $5,000 for a guitar. You're not getting $5,000 worth of craftsmanship, all right? Just that simple. What you are getting is something that you can start with and something that we can modify later on with a relatively small amount of effort. And we're going to be upgrading along with the tuners. We'll also be upgrading the nut. I think I've got all the right ones here. That might actually be for one of the trees. They mixed them all together. Yeah, see, that's a smaller one. I think this one is for the string trees. We will be upgrading the string trees. I don't want to come out. Here we go. Come on. Come on out of there, you. There we go. I talked to my tools and stuff. Hope that doesn't bother you. I'm being very polite with them today. Usually there's a lot more profanity. So I'm looking here, and you see I've got two different size screw heads, because two of these are for the string trees and not for the tuning machines. That's kind of a significant difference if you're in the market for major differences, right? They're just different screws. The ones for the tuning machines are slightly beefier. When I say beefy, I mean you can see the size of the screws we're working with here. Beefy isn't exactly the word we're looking for. But you can see how easy it is to make that mistake. So make sure you don't do what I did and just start dropping screws in, or you're going to end up having the wrong screws in. Oh, what's going on here? What is your deal? Let's get back in place here. You can get the wrong screws dropped in the wrong place, and then they may not fit in the place they're supposed to. So I'm actually going to put that on Solo for not better organizing the bags. I'd say tiny little baggies, like all of this hardware came in this bag. So the string trees, the string tree posts, the string tree screws all came in this one little baggie, along with the screws for the machine heads. So that's problematic if you're not paying attention, or if you're doing this at 4 in the morning, or you're drunk, or whatever. Don't build guitars when you're drunk, by the way. Don't drink and screw drive, as it were. Okay. But now, there you go. So we've got 6 inline machine heads on this beautiful maple headstock. Okay. They're still a little bit loose. We've got to come back around the front. Okay, make sure we're lined up on the camera here. And just really lock these guys down. Okay, best I can. Okay. Just right in there. Get in there, you. Okay. Remember, you can do this with a wrench. It's more difficult, of course, because you've got a little curve here, so it's got to be a smallish wrench that you're using. But there you go. We have tuners. Okay, so now the tuning machines are installed, and like I said, at some point we have to install these string trees with their little posts. We're going to use these guys to set up the holes, and then we're actually going to replace them with better quality string trees. So all of this work that I'm doing right now is all going to be undone in the mix as we move forward, because we're going to be replacing this hardware. The nut is going to be replaced with a Graphtec nut, Graphtec string trees, GFS bridge, and eventually we're also going to replace the pickup set with some, well, it's a surprise, but with some really fantastic pickups. Okay, now we've got this far. As you can see, the tuners are here. They turn, they tune, they do the things that they're supposed to do. They got a little bit of looseness to them. Again, that will probably clean up under tension. This part will probably clean up under tension. And if you can, I wouldn't tighten these down too much, but just give them a little bit of a touch. And that's just, that will just help to snug it a little bit. Oh yeah, see. Here's where you can kind of start to see where automated craftsmanship goes a little bit wonky on you. There's a distinct angle between these two. This one's leaning a little bit more this way. So they're not as straight as you might like. You can see here. I think you can see, right? So this line here isn't as straight as it could be, but it's as straight as we can get for what we've got. That said, it's a very nice neck overall, and I've already mentioned I don't think I'm going to do anything to the back of the neck when we go to do the finishing. So that's it for this part. We've got the machines installed, we've got the bridge installed. So the next thing we're going to be working on will be soldering the pickups into place and then mounting the neck. Okay, so I will hopefully see you then.